So today we're comparing 4 different small EDC lights. All right, on the left here we have the ThruNite W1. Next to it we have the Olight. This is the I5R EOS. All right, their newer rechargeable one. Then we have the popular Streamlight MicroStream. And last we have the Fenix E09R. So all these lights do have different capabilities. They're slightly different sizes. You can see, some are shorter, some are thinner, wider, but they all serve the same purpose as being a little pocketable EDC light. Now, as far as price, the ThruNite W1 sells for $19.99. The Olight I5R EOS sells for $35.95. The Streamlight MicroStream sells for $29.95. And the Fenix E09R sells for $39.95. Now we're going to come in close, look at the heads on these lights, starting with the ThruNite W1. This is putting out 693 lumens on the max output, and this is using a luminous SST20 LED. You can see we have a short wide reflector that is heavily stippled. Next we have the Olight I5R EOS. This is putting a max output of 350 lumens. They do not describe what LED exactly, just that it's a high performance LED. And you can see we have that smooth reflector in there, all right, as well as a little projected lens towards the middle. Next up, we have the Streamlight MicroStream. This has the smallest head of the bunch here. Very similar style to the Olight. It's a very smooth reflector, a little projected lens, and unfortunately this is also a question mark on that LED. It is not stated on the website. And last up, we have the Fenix E09R. Also, same setup as the last two, all right, in the reflector and lens. They are also using a luminous SST20 LED, just like the ThruNite W1. Now, all 4 lights do run on different battery sources, so I want to talk about that real quick. All right, starting with the ThruNite here. This is running on a single 16340 lithium-ion rechargeable battery. All right, you see this one is 650 milliamp hour. So next up is this little Olight. This is running on a couple different battery sources, although the one that comes with it is a rechargeable AA essentially. It's a 1420. You can see the charging port on the side there. This flashlight can also be used with a variety of different AA batteries as well. Whether you have a nickel metal hydride battery or an alkaline battery, it doesn't really make a difference as long as you have a AA size. All right, so the lithium ion that's here that comes with the light is going to provide a little bit more output as opposed to a regular alkaline battery you might find from the store. All right, so it's something to keep in mind when you're looking at the performance and output of this light. So the next up is this Streamlight MicroStream. All right, this has what looks like the equivalent of a AAA battery. All right, this is a 350 milliamp hour battery. Take a closer look here. This is not one that I'm super familiar with. And the Fenix light has a non-removable battery. The website just states that there's an 800 milliamp hour rechargeable lithium ion inside. So all 4 of these lights do run on an included rechargeable lithium ion battery. The only exception is the Olight, the I5R EOS, not to be confused with the older i5T. But this one also has the availability of running on a single AA, which is commonly found. So it's a little bit of an advantage over the other lights. Now, as far as charging goes, the ThruNite W1 has a single little charging port on the side. Very simple. The Olight, as I showed before, with the battery removed, the charging port is on the battery itself. For the Streamlight MicroStream, the head actually lifts forward. What's interesting too, as an aside, is that when the light's on and you pull this forward, it kind of narrows that beam, but it's not really meant for that. Some people might think it's, a projected lens or something, but the head just goes forward literally to expose that little port, okay, for charging. And then it slips back when you're done. And then finally, the Fenix has a unique system where there's a sleeve here. Let me zoom in just to show you this. So you want to rotate this sleeve, and it's going to expose the charging port, which is on the front side here. Okay, so when you're done charging, the sleeve would just screw back on to enclose it to make sure that water doesn't get in there. All right, so that's how you charge each one of these lights. All right, so now I just want to go over each flashlight's UI or user interface. This is how the flashlight functions. It's important for people to know this kind of stuff just so they know the ease of use and what kind of features there are. So on the ThruNite W1, it's just like a lot of ThruNite UIs. If you do a long press, you're going to get your moonlight mode. That's the lowest output with the longest runtime. All right, click that once to shut it off. Or you can just click the light once to turn it on. You see there is a power indicator in the button. Okay, and you're going to push and hold to cycle through the low, medium, and high mode. All right, so low, medium, and high. You could double click at any point to go to the turbo mode. Again, that's a 693 lumen max output there. And triple click for your strobe. All right, just click to shut it off. Very simple. Another nice feature is that there is a magnet embedded into the bottom of the light. So if you need to attach it to something, you could certainly do so. Just for an example, here's my pocket knife. So you can see the bottom is, in fact, magnetic. All right, this is a little advantageous in certain situations where you want to be hands-free. If you have any kind of metal around you, you can just kind of stick it to that, and you don't have to hold the light. So speaking of hands-free, this also has a bi-directional pocket clip, so you can clip it this way, or you can clip it the opposite direction. So this could slip onto a brim of a hat, which is nice. So next up here is the Olight I5R EOS. The i5R is the newer version of the i5T, basically allowing it to have a rechargeable battery, as well as a little bit more of an output at 350 lumens. This is a pretty simple light. There's a tail clicky on the back. You can do a half press for momentary on. All right, there's just two modes, low and high. So if you do a half press and hit it again, another half press, you can do momentary high. Otherwise, you're going to just click it to turn it on. It'll automatically default to low the first click. So if you want high, you do a half press, another half press, and then click it in all the way to go into high. So pretty simple, just kind of a basic light. Then we have the Streamlight MicroStream. This works the same as the Olight in that there's a tail clicky on here. All right, half press, it's going to be momentary low. If you do a quick half press and then again, it's going to be momentary high. At any point in time, you can click in to keep that mode. All right, very simple light. And as I mentioned before, if you happen to turn this on for some reason, want a more concentrated beam, by pulling that forward, all you're doing is, not allowing as much spill. It's not going to be any brighter or anything, but if for some reason, you wanted to have this type of beam as opposed to pulling that back, you can certainly do so. Although I don't believe that was the original intention for the light. It's really just to access that charging port. But inherently, you're just going to narrow that beam by pulling that forward. And last, we have the Fenix, the E09R. And just like all the rest of the Fenix lights, it definitely has a different, unique UI that could be very much a pro or very much a con. Just depends on what you prefer. So there's a side switch on here. All right, if you do a single click, nothing happens. Okay, that is almost like a lockout function. All right, so if you accidentally bump the light, it won't accidentally turn on. But if you push and hold until it turns on and let go, you can do a single press each time to swap through the modes. So we have low, medium 1, medium 2, and then high, or if you want to call it low, medium, high, and then turbo. But at any point in time, regardless of whether the light is off or on, you can do a long press, and if you hold it, it'll automatically go into the turbo or the highest mode, and then when you let go, it'll stay on in the lowest mode. Just very unique. So in other words, if you just need the light, pull it out of your pocket or take it off the table, and just push and hold, it'll automatically go into a momentary high until you let go. And once you let go, it'll just be on in the low function, all right? And then you can cycle back through to get to a constant, high if you wanted to, or a constant medium. So just kind of interesting there, and then push and hold it to shut it off. But again, if you push and hold it to shut it off too long, it just goes back to that high, and then when you let go, it goes back to the low. All right, fascinating UI. It's definitely a little bit different, something that takes a little bit of getting used to. Personally, don't like how the Fenix UIs are on a lot of the different lights, but again, it comes down to preference, really. And it should be worth noting that this Fenix did not come with any pocket clip. Okay, all three of the other lights do have pocket clips. Instead, this has a little lanyard hole that's on the back, but there was no split ring or anything included to attach it to anything. All right, so now we're gonna head outside and get some beam shots comparing these lights. They do have quite a different throw and slight different coloration and stuff, so it's good to see that in action. Also keep in mind, even though the Streamlight here is at the lowest output at 250 lumens, the ThruNite is at the highest at 693 lumens. all four of these lights do project enough light to see easily within 15-20 feet. So even though these are small little compact lights, they're actually very bright for their size. So first we have the ThruNite W1. Here it is on turbo. All right, we'll go up and down, left and right. See, very hot spot in the middle, but there's still a lot of spill all around. Next we have the Olight. This is the I5R EOS on high. All right, you can see there's less of a hot spot, more of just an area light, a little less spill on either side. Up and down, left and right. Next we have the Streamlight. This is the MicroStream, very similar to the Olight. So we go up and down and left and right. And then we have the Fenix E09R. All right, so there's the turbo. And we go up, down, left and right. So this one's a little more similar in how it throws to the ThruNite W1. All right, so here's a different angle. Again, we're starting off with the ThruNite W1. Get pan left and right. And then up and down. Next up is the Olight. All right, there it is on high. All right, in comparison, you can see it doesn't throw as much. All right, it's just more of an even beam. But here it is, left and right. And then up and down. Next up is the MicroStream. All right, the Streamlight. Same deal, but even less light than the Olight. So here it is, left and right, and then up and down. Now keep in mind too, in person I'm seeing more light than the camera's able to pick up, but you can see the difference between the ThruNite and the Olight, and then of course the Streamlight just going down in brightness as we go. And then finally we have the Fenix. All right, so now we're actually got brighter again, kind of like the W1 we started with. So we go left and right, and then up and down. So it is interesting to see how each one of these different lights actually throws the light, and you know what their beam shots are like. It really makes a difference, because if you're 2 feet from the wall, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But when you're outside like this and you have some distance, you could tell what you might prefer. You know, a little bit of wider beam, something a little bit more reach. Just kind of depends on your personal preference. So here's my conclusion after checking out all four of these lights. Personally, I've carried and used the Olight I5T, the previous version of this light, for a long time. I've always liked the fact that it was just a simple AA flashlight. You didn't have to worry about charging or anything. I would just dispose of the batteries and get new ones. This being the rechargeable version, it's actually a really nice upgrade because I can actually recharge it. I do have a little bit more performance in that respect. But if I'm in a pinch and I don't have time to recharge it, I can just swap in a simple AA battery. That is a huge bonus for me. The issue is these sell for almost twice the price as the ThruNite W1, which is also a lot brighter. All right, so overall, I do like the ThruNite W1, but I still think that I would prefer the Olight I5R EOS just for the convenience of that battery. But again, keep in mind, twice the price, and it's not nearly as bright or has as many modes or features. I do really like the magnetic bottom that's on the ThruNite here. Talking about the other lights here, the Fenix is really cool. I mean, it has plenty of output. 600 lumens is no joke. It's very, very bright. It's just one of those things where I can't get used to that UI very much. Now, the Streamlight is extremely dependable. It's also very thin, you know, compared to the other ones. Like the ThruNite is kind of short and chunky as opposed to a little bit longer and super slender. I do like how the Streamlight carries. You could just slip this anywhere. It's very nice, very easy to slip into like Molly gear on different bags and stuff, as well as maybe the fifth pocket in like a pair of jeans. So they all have their pros and cons. If I had to walk away with one, it would probably be the Olight, just again because I heavily focus on the availability of battery sources. However, the ThruNite is of course the brightest, the cheapest. It is the best of the bunch if you're just looking at fact sheets here. But there's really no wrong choice. I mean, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 for me. So there you go, just something to think about. There are a lot of factors when deciding what flashlight is good for you. There's no wrong choice. Many different people have all 4 of these different lights and all love them for various reasons. Just consider different factors that might be important to you. Battery source, the capability of recharging, those might be important factors. The actual size, of it. The fact that these have pocket clips, this doesn't, that might be, a selling point to you or something that would prevent you from, say, buying the Fenix. It's a fantastic light, but if you want to clip it to your pocket and it doesn't come with a pocket clip, obviously that's a problem. Something that I always look for as well is a light capability to tail stand. All right, so even though these are, little pocket EDC lights in emergency, the ThruNite is the only one of the bunch here that can tail stand, as well as, again, have that magnetic bottom, which can be very advantageous. Whereas the ones with the tail switch, they don't tail stand. So again, huge advantage to the ThruNite here for being able to tail stand, the magnetic bottom, pocket clip. Huge disadvantage, no pocket clip. Even though this doesn't have a tail switch or button like the Olight or the Streamlight, this lanyard piece, this kind of bar here, would make it very difficult to tail stand. Okay, you'd probably have to lean it on something. There's a fairly smooth surface right now, and it just is not capable of it. All right, so it just depends again on what you're looking for in your flashlight, but all 4 of them work fine. All 4 of them are bright enough. Just depends on what your preference is. That's really what it comes down to. So anyway, that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.